This is 89.1 and it's community radio, and I'm so delighted that we have the lovely Amanda in here, who is extraordinarily knowledgeable about a very important ancient art of healing, and that's hypnotherapy, darlings. And so she is going to be enlightening us with her knowledge. Darlings, welcome.
Thank you, Robyn. Good morning, everyone.
Darling, it's hang on, now we're going, now we're cooking. Good morning, darling. It's most delightful to have you here. You're a local, correct us, Mongus?
Yes, I've lived in North Katoomba for 33 years.
But you're only 21.
Yeah.
And how long have you been? You have two modalities. You have music, and you have hypnotherapy. Your hypnotherapy is a healing art.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Talk.
Well, yes, about 10 years ago, actually, I ended up with quite a bad injury stemming from a broken back. That 6 broken vertebrae, and that's just when I moved here to the mountains. And no doctors, there was just nothing that seemed to be
much pain and no healing.
Yes, it was terrible.
Yes.
So my doctor recommended Alexander technique. So I started Alexander technique.
Excuse me, is that breath?
No, actually it's, let's say it's a technique whereby the practitioner is a teacher who teaches you how to cooperate with the human body. So it's very physiological, but based in whatever it is that you're thinking will affect the tone of your body and the way you hold yourself. So my journey then began with learning that approach to
the healingness of you.
Yes, I had to heal.
Yes.
And of course there's a lot of emotional healing and traumas that you carry with you.
Yes, unknowingly.
Exactly, yes. So it began there, but that led me to a part of the Alexander technique. Beneath the surface of it is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So,
neuro-brain linguistic, the dancing of
neurology, language. So it's neuro-linguistic programming.
Yes.
So it's how we program, or how we have programmed our brains. Which happens way in the first few years of life. Yeah.
Unbeknowingly.
Exactly, of course, because a child has to receive everything that their carers and their parents deliver to them. They absorb, they don't reason, they just wholeheartedly absorb and accept.
And so part
of the story, yes. So it was through my teacher, my Alexander technique teacher, is Greg Holdaway. He is a magician.
Oh.
He really is. He pretty much saved my musical life because I was unable to play, barely hold myself up. And, you know.
What do you play?
I play piano and I'm a composer.
Okay, excellent.
So that was quite a long journey. It was a reteaching my body and my mind how to cooperate, not only with myself, but with human design, the way we are designed. There's a lot of physiology and anatomy.
Cooperate with your own body is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
And mind.
Yes. Definitely, because it all stems from the mind, actually.
It's the mind controls the body.
Exactly, yes. And so there's a lot of physical relearning because we have habits and you're unaware of them, you can't see them. You even get that way that you can't feel all the damage you're doing because it's just the way you do things.
And so then you came upon the extraordinary ancient art.
Yes, one thing leads to the next.
Yes.
So digging deeper beyond the Alexander technique and then into NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, led me to the unconscious mind. I became very, very interested in the unconscious mind.
Yes.
And so, as you've said, Robyn, so many of the things that we do and we say are not conscious to us. They are unconscious. And so the unconscious mind interested me. And on quite a few counts as a musician, because writing music involves, like a search into your memory banks.
Yes.
Yeah. To things that you've seen and things that you've felt and places that really interest you and captivate your imagination. So, in writing music, I endeavour to bring these out in a sonic form.
And so you're explaining to us that in our heart, or in our deepest recesses of this extraordinary mind, not the brain, the mind,
right.
the music exists and it unfolds. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. So obviously, there's technique and craft. You've got to learn a lot.
Yes.
Using the conscious mind. Because humans are very clever. We have a clever brain. So, I've studied an awful lot. I have a master's degree in composition. And yet, without the incredible, rich resource of the unconscious mind, it's all nothing.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Go on. So you discovered hypnotherapy in the healing of your softness.
Yes, you could say that, yes.
Or in the knowledge. Go on.
Yes, so I just wanted more of that. I felt I had it a lot more when I was younger. And as I was, getting older and especially having gone through a lot of pain and injury and distraction through that broken back accident, I needed to reconnect myself to myself. Yeah.
Say that again.
I needed to
No, that's
reconnect myself back to myself.
That is very powerful.
Yes.
That is wisdom.
Yes. It's a very, very deep and rich process.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Go on.
So, hypnotherapy is... You see, there's two things here. There's hypnosis, and hypnosis is almost interchangeable with the word hypnotherapy. So hypnosis, this is another whole thing I'd really like to talk about, actually.
Yes.
Hypnosis, of course, is an art. And yet more recently, we use hypnosis as a tool for healing and call it therapy. So it's therapeutic, the application of hypnosis with a therapeutic intention.
Yes.
Yes.
Essential.
Yes. So just going back to my story with music, not just the composition part, but performance. So performing music, especially classical music, is very, very demanding. It's very, very challenging to be on stage, especially solo performing. So there's a whole aspect there of being able to get a very fine balance, because the conscious brain needs to have a part in performance, and yet to have enough, to be out of the way enough and stop saying this could all go wrong. What if you forget this, and what if you forget that, and no, you're no good, you can't do this, how did you ever think you could? We talk to ourselves like this.
You say,
or even when you think I've got this and then you fail, your brain thinks, oh, I know this bit's easy. and
Yep.
then you mess it
Then
up
you don't
because
do
you're
Yep.
actually you're not focusing, but
Yes.
you're focusing on something a little bit off to the side of it.
Yes, there's a whole lot of
Good.
interference.
Yeah.
I think it's called, what you're talking about there is the remaining in awareness
Yes.
of the seconds and how easy it is for the mind to wander off. So
Yeah.
you then turned that into your work, into your
Yes.
healing modality
Yes.
by you going and so
Yes, and there's probably one more little aspect of the music that led me into this,
Yes.
more recent, how would you say, this more recent part of my
Yes.
career, and that is the teaching. I teach.
hypnotherapy.
No, I teach music.
You teach
Piano.
I teach
Yes.
music. I teach piano and composition. Yes.
Mm.
So a lot of people have challenges learning, and it's often just that the balance between the two brains, as in the very clever conscious brain and the unconscious part of us, the unconscious mind, which absorbs and keeps not so much information but experience. So the unconscious mind doesn't let's say, doesn't understand English.
Doesn't want to listen or controls in a way that we can't recognise. Is that
Yes. So when I said can't understand English, the unconscious mind can't process complicated things like, if I do this, then that might happen, so I won't do that.
So
and
it's
I'll
a
do
pattern. The unconscious mind operates out of patterns.
Yes, and what it receives from our thinking brain, when we say all those things, basically, if I said all those things that I just said to my unconscious mind and I repeat that and I'm trying to get it clear to myself, don't do this because that might happen, and if you do that, be careful because it could go wrong, and then if it rains and
You're
blah,
just
blah, blah,
focusing
blah,
on
blah.
failure.
Yep,
Is that right?
that's right.
Yeah.
So your unconscious mind actually experiences failure
Is
and
trying
fear.
to outsmart you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the result is anxiety and fear. So we have to learn to talk to ourselves
That's beautiful.
differently.
Yeah. Darlings,
Yeah.
go nowhere. This is 89.1. We are delicious and we are having a really
Wonderful.
insightful, but also insightful,
Well, thanks for
And-
this
and
opportunity. I love
allowing
it.
us who to begin to understand the naughtiness of our own unconscious minds, telling us a wee
That's
dash
right.
of music and feelings. And here we are, and it's 89.1, and we are definitely rock and rolling with the lovely Amanda, who is a hypnotherapist here in the Blue Mountains doing extraordinary work, and she's describing for us an understanding of how naughty our unconscious mind is, and how brilliant our conscious mind is, and how we can marry the two.
Yes.
And in particular, for example, and in particular, even use music. Please keep teaching us.
Yes. Well, that little comment you made about our naughty unconscious mind and our very clever conscious mind, the unconscious mind is like a puppy. As you know, a puppy.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
If you said to a puppy in a beautiful voice, "Oh, you're such a bad puppy.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to kill you."
Yes.
It wouldn't pick up
No.
the words. It'd
No.
pick up,
The
the love in your
tenderness.
tone,
Yes.
in your tone. And on the other hand, you could do it with a horrible gruff voice and
Yeah.
say something like, "I love you," but So it's not the words as much as the tone. In fact,
Yes.
all human communication, it's been proven that only 7% of what's communicated is the words themselves.
Ah, yes.
38% is the tone of voice, and all the things that go along with that, like the pacing of your voice.
But even you just saying that it's about tone brings music immediately to mind.
Yes, yes, because you don't need words.
But
And you can listen to music, songs in foreign languages, and you get the intention. You know what it's about more or less by the emotional tone.
Music is an international language of which you don't need to know the language.
That's right.
You know, and
It's
and
universal.
so with hypnotherapy, I've come to you and I want to, for example, give up smoking.
Yeah.
And so, or even deeper issues. And
Yes, it's more what I work with are the deeper issues.
on.
That's what really
give us
interests
an
me.
example, please.
So if, for example, let's take a case study. I had a lady, just a little older than myself, and
29.
she was 30.
Oh, look at all of us.
Yes.
That's right. Now she had been recommended from the medical field to seek hypnotherapy. So fortunately, she did.
Yes.
And she didn't know why that was recommended. Well, it was simply because everything else had failed.
Yes.
And her problem was gut issues, in particular leaky gut. So this is often the case with IBS and all those sort of digestive things, the guts. So of course we explored all the physical possibilities and the habits that she would have around eating and food preparation. And I don't want to say too much, but you can imagine that we all have
and
different
she came
ways.
to be healed
Yes.
of the digestive situation of which most of us have at some stage in our life.
Yes.
And you through
hypnosis.
So yes, but it was an indirect cause. This is what often happens. The problem that people present with is often, Nick, just not actually what it really is. That's it. Yeah. So the body manifests something as a sort of like, hey, there's something going wrong here. And if you haven't been listening emotionally, the body will produce something that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So in her case, not to disregard her, we of course spoke about all of her food preparation rituals and how she actually ate, in terms of sitting down at the table with a meal and having that as sort of like a gift to oneself, to look at the meal, to smell the meal, to enjoy the meal, to put a candle there, to be quiet, don't have the television on, to actually value the food and the moment, all sorts of things like this, and to eat slowly and not to pick at things while you're cooking, little tiny things like this. So these are all just, they're almost obvious, but that certainly helped. However, the problem was deep emotional hurt from her mother.
and that was the inability to digest.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
The stomach's physical function is to churn and ripen and let go of that which is not needed. And emotionally, it's the same as if you're holding an emotion, that it's through the stomach that you should be able to let go too.
Yeah.
And so that's why, yes, go on.
Yeah, so, the unconscious mind is our gut feelings.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
It's literal. Yeah.
Yeah, how extraordinary
Yeah.
to have a modality which works on feelings.
Yes.
As opposed to us being raised in a society that assumes everything is physical.
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, you go to the pharmaceutical side, and it's all physically
Yes.
And what you're talking about is the you can't operate on physically on emotions, but they're so, if not more important than the physical side, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, because they cause.
Because it's what makes us us's.
Yes. So
Is that go on?
it's exactly how it works. You know, as I was saying, it's the body will create something like an ailment or a complaint
to bring attention to the emotion.
Yes, so it's trying to bring your conscious mind, I need to do something. You know, we're not disregarding our conscious mind by any means. You know, we're clever human beings and we need to honour that.
Yes.
But sometimes we have to tell it to be quiet, you know.
Or is it recognise, it's really, we're really talking about the wholeness of healing. Not just the taking of a pharmaceutical, but also to recognise
That's right. Yes.
the pain as manifesting from an emotional
place. Yeah, often. I mean, every case is different, but yes, increasingly the medical field are recognising hypnotherapy as an adjunct to their own treatments. So, you know, there's a whole branch to, especially for cancer patients, called psychoneuroimmunology. And it involves, for the patients, cancer patients receiving, you know, chemotherapy and treatments, that they are in a receptive state so that they can actually receive the treatment. Because often the treatments don't work because the patient has already decided that they're going to die or whatever.
The mind is so powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
Both trickily,
yes,
so or what wisdom so.
Yes.
Like which is what you're talking about, is bringing us to that wisdom.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the process of this hypnotherapy? And so, with regards to the lady that it turned out she had issues with her mother.
Okay.
So when you hypnotise someone, then ask them questions, or just play the music, or what do you do? What's the game?
So there's a bit. Look, it's not like psychology where there's a lot of talking.
No.
It's quite different in that it's fast. It's relatively fast, and yet obviously we need to talk. So I need to talk to my client and learn as much as I can about my client. But it doesn't really involve a massive recounting of history. Just because one or two examples of something that's scarred that person will represent a whole pattern of hundreds, if not thousands, of similar incidents and similar, if not exactly the same, reaction in the client. So we don't need to talk all that much. But this lady identified, you know, she began identifying a few traumatic moments with her mother. And so we decided to limit it to 4 representative. So she had herself at a particular age, you know, so I questioned her when going into that memory, you know, how old were you and what did your mother say? And so it was almost like a reenactment of that incident. And I had asked her to have imagine herself standing on one hand. So she had her palms upturned with her hands out in front of her, to imagine herself on one hand and her mother on the other. And to play this again. And however, now, because her mother actually, you know, is dead and gone, she would speak to her mother and ask her, why did you hurt me? Why did you do this? So then in her imagination, she would get an answer from her mother. Obviously, we're not tapping into her mother's spirit, but as well as she could imagine what her mother's intentions might have been. And there was a resolution of 4 significant moments. So she then brought those young girls into her own care, rather than feeling as though that was her mother and that was the influence that was retained right through, into her 60s. She opted out of her mother's role as a mother. She in fact took the photo down from her living room and put it in a drawer and replaced it with something that she herself really loved, and that those 4 girls that she's brought into her life and into her home and into her meals and on her dinner table. So she has a beautiful ritual every night at dinner with her 4 girls. She is now the mother of those 4 girls, and feels. So this is a year ago now, and she is absolutely in love with her life and healed.
Oh.
Goodest one, we could discuss this for the next. Please, in fact, may I invite you to come again, because it's again, and the only word I can come with, it's essential wisdom that you're talking about, and it's a not invasive, but it's an essential way for us to heal ourselves.
That's right.
In this extraordinary manner.
Because nobody can hypnotise you. You do it yourself.
That is absolutely. Say that again, please.
Yes, and there's a lot of myths I'd like to debunk. I might do that next time.
Please.
So one of them is that people often think that nobody can hypnotise me, and they're right. They're absolutely right.
Yes.
In fact, I was putting up a flyer in a shop.
Yes.
A flyer for my services. And a lady sort of scoffed and said, nobody can hypnotise me. I just said, you're absolutely right.
And that is the desire for us to want to heal ourselves.
Yes.
More as we go along, and that is
it's
the
kind of a scary thing, the thought of being hypnotised. I've never been hypnotised, so I think just the ability, willingness to let go, let someone else take control of you is quite a concept.
That's your tricky mind trying to outsmart your wise mind.
Yes, it is.
It's the fear, and it's a reasonable fear.
Yeah, well, people have it.
It's reasonable. Yeah. So,
darling, and so there is a weekend coming up. Oh, please come on before this again.
Yes.
A weekend immersion in hypnosis, and this is. And that's a beautiful word you've used, is it's your transformation. And we walk this planet to be, or wanting to be, transformative all the time. And so this is to learn how hypnosis works, not to have a fear of it, but to welcome it as a healing tool. And it's a 2-day experience. It's on Saturday and Sunday, January 13th and 14th. Darling, if you want to learn more, get your pens, put your coffee down, and get your pen. It's www.amandel.com. That's www.amanda, Amanda, Handel, Amanda Handel, all one word, .com.au.
Yes, you can contact me. No, not AU, no.
Just .com.
Just .com.
I
Yep.
beg your pardon.
Yep. Yes, you can
We're not
contact
in the
me.
90s anymore.
contact me through that, and I can send anybody a quite extensive information package
Excellent.
about the weekend, with the whole timetable. So it's running 10 till 6 on 2 days, and it's at the Waratah Holistic Healing in Waratah Street, Katoomba.
Waratah.
Beautiful place.
And is there a Facebook page?
Well, there is, but there's not that much information on it.
It's the www.amandahandel.com.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information about hypnotherapy on the website.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yes.
dun, dun. Darlings, can I thank you for coming? Can I thank you for
It's a
sharing
pleasure.
what you have? I hope we haven't been hypnotised.
Whoa, I feel like I might
Next time I want to ask you some questions about what you think the general consciousness of people about hypnotherapy, because I have had quite a few people say things that I think no, that's not right.
I in fact accepted fully hypnotherapy to give up cigarettes.
Oh, good on you.
And it was delicious.
They
And
were?
I knew, well, I wanted it to.
Yes,
And
yeah.
that's what you're saying is
Yes.
you can't hypnotise me unless I'm
Excellent.
welcoming it. And
Yeah,
what you're
and then
talking,
you hypnotise yourself. I don't hypnotise you.
what you're talking about is me wanting to heal myself. And,
Exactly.
And I was absolutely keen about it. But
Yeah.
yes, please return to us.
Okay.
It's been most delightful.
And thank you. Lovely
Yeah,
to meet
thank
you
you.
both.
Lovely to meet you, Amanda.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Robyn. Darlings. Goodest ones, 89.1. It's nearly 10 to 10. I'd like to think you're still in your jammies, but I think you should be. You're probably moving out of them. And they could be fabulous jammies. They could be a smoke jacket and a little fez.
It's all in the imagination.
Isn't it? Darlings, please stay tuned and we'll be back.